which stands for Muskegon Community Education Center, the place where the center of your child's education is magnified in a collaborating community. Our focus here at MCEC is community involvement, careers, social emotional learning, and nutrition. What's up, PK? What or who do we have on the agenda today, fam?
Well, we have a Big Red who has gone off into the big wide world and continues to do great things, honoring his family, honoring his community, honoring his alma mater. His name is FamTravell Oaks. Now, unfortunately, I didn't get to know FamTravell as well as I sort of got to know some of his siblings, but his name is brought up whenever you talk about young men who are making a difference. So FamTravell, on behalf of MCEC and MCEC Fam Show, we are so thankful for you taking your time out of your busy professional day to share your narrative with our community.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
So Chauncey, are you going to start with the first question, or are you going to let me steal them all?
No, I'm not gonna let you steal them all. I don't know where to start at with Travail, but I got a good relationship with Travail. Travail, first I want to tell you I love you and I'm proud of you. I want to say that because I know you. Brothers have to tell each other that. And I was like, man, I'm calling you. I couldn't reach you. And then when I seen you posted the picture of you becoming an alpha, I said, oh, that's what I can't reach him. Like, is he ignoring me? But thank you, and you're blessed, brother, and congratulations. So I just want to start it off with that first and foremost. And we are proud of you here in Muskegon. I talked to Mr. Lee yesterday. He said, tell Travel. I said, what's up? And just going back to my first experience, I've seen you in high school when I've coached at Orchard View. And then my first encounter, I think I had your brother in my classroom, and your mother had called me because you were at Aquinas and you were playing ball there somewhere. And she had asked me, say, hey, I want you to help my son transition. And you ended up landing at Albion. And I was just looking at that picture, and the things you're doing now, you're not exceeding expectation. It just matches your athletic ability. Whenever a mountain's in front of you, you pushed past it and you showed your ability. So I'm elated and excited just to encounter you, and how your schedule is so busy now. It's a great opportunity of having a student, having your brothers in my class, and then now having you on this platform today. That's what it's all about. So what I usually do in this platform is I ask the question of what was the series of events, and we call it happenstance here. What was the series of events when you got that moment and say, hey, this is what I'm going to do. This is who I am. And I know you had a pivotal change in Aquinas, but before that, some things happened when you identified who you were and how you transited into the man you are today. And if you can expound on that narrative and just share with our community of who's FamTravell Oaks outside of athletics and what you're doing today and how this happened for you, if that would encapsulate that for us.
Definitely. So first and foremost, thank everyone on this call for allowing me the opportunity to be in this space. When Chauncey reached out to me, one of the things that I like to do is do a little research. So I got to see how the show goes on. So I watched a couple episodes, and so I was ready. So this is an honor, and this is a privilege and a blessing. I would definitely say first and foremost, I wouldn't be here today without the grace of God. I was my upbringing was in a spiritual home. You all probably know my mom, Tasha Oaks. She sits on the board of education there, and definitely one of my monumental moments was just having her as a mother. She definitely challenged me in a lot of ways. Never could come home with a C. If I got close to a C, I would be getting in trouble. I think she got a little lenient as years got older, but I definitely would give her most of my credit. And also my dad, unfortunately, cancer came back the second time, and he passed away in 2017 when I was starting my master's degree at Central Michigan University. And he definitely taught me a lot as far as like being a resilient leader. You know, we talk about the different obstacles that we all face. And I know a lot of times we talk about the injustices, but everyone has an obstacle or something, a roadblock within their journey. And he definitely taught me to never give up and always to overcome those different things. So I would definitely say the main thing that got me to where I'm at today is that village. I talk about a village a lot because we live in a society that kind of promotes individualism. I talk about that within the class that I'm teaching this summer. I talk about that to the students that I oversee and also my peers and colleagues when they ask me the question, how did I get to where I'm at? And I would definitely say it takes a village to raise a child, because it's different areas where I'm strong at that someone else is weak at, and it's areas where I'm weak at where someone is strong at. So I get the opportunity to have mentors like Chauncey Williams who hold me accountable, like, you know, and make sure that I'm doing what I need to do, reaching out. I think that's the biggest thing, is just right now during this pandemic, a lot of people say we need to social distance, and I don't think it's social distancing. It's more physical distancing that we need to do, but we need to keep the social together, because as humans, we need to have that socialization in order to, like, you know, navigate through this world. So to go back to your question, I would definitely say it took a village to get me where I'm at. One thing that I will say is currently I serve as the coordinator for leadership development within the Multicultural and Leadership Development Center here at Florida Gulf Coast University. Chauncey, you brought up Albion. Albion College has never left my life since I graduated. For the past 3 years, I've served on the Alumni Board Association, and this past year, I have been selected to serve as the vice president of the Alumni Association, as well as I had the opportunity to serve on the executive leadership team for the Black Alumni Association. So Albion College never had a Black Alumni Association, and we just redeveloped it and enhanced it within the past couple of years. So we're on and on. So I would definitely say these are definitely building blocks. One thing I will say is that I aspire to be a president of a university. And the reason why I'm sharing this with everyone is because when you say it out loud, the more people know, the more people that can keep asking me when I come back home, how's your journey becoming a president? And it puts the pressure on me. And I think with me, pressure makes diamonds. So like when I got the pressure, it's like in a basketball game when it's like 5 seconds left and you need to make that last shot. Like I know I'm about to drive it to the hole, lay it up with the left hand, because people don't know how to guard left-handed people. So lay it up, get the and one, and we good. So I would definitely say it's important to let my community know that education is power. And that's what I'm trying to bridge that gap within our community. So that's a little bit about me and how I got to where I'm at.
Man, I love it. I love it. You couldn't have said it no better. Like you said, you put it out in the universe that I'm gonna be a president. So I was just telling somebody on the phone that today. It's like, you still working on that? Yes, I am. I'm still working on that, and that holds you accountable. And people would say this would be good for you, TravVell, because they know that's your vision and your purpose. And I was telling someone today, they had made a post, and I was talking about mirroring neurons. And I think me and Tom or Paul was talking this morning about when I'm doing something, and if it's positive and my network of people is doing it, the mirror neurons in their mind, they pick up that same mannerism and those behaviors. So if president is your thing, and I'm like, hey, if I hang with him, he talking about being a president, I can mirror some of the things that he's doing, and my expectation for my own life would change. And that was Paul. When that you this morning, Paul? We were talking about that coming into the agency at MCEC, because we're about the social part here. We're about the careers, and we have a lot of fun. But our thing here with our staff is big. We're big on relationship and making sure we play music as one band. So the things you are saying are echoing what we're building here. But you being in a space and being from this space is saying that our kids can go to other areas and dominate, but also teach and love on other people and build positive relationships, because that's what we need you at in the diversity part. And you always had that personable way of dealing with people, because you always ask me questions, and like, why you always asking questions? You're supposed to be here to train, but you always ask me about, what about school? What about this? I'm like, yeah, he's really curious about some other stuff. So I have to tell you, you always ask those questions. So I really appreciate that, because it helped me evolve outside of athletics and know that there's doors like this that our kids can be in, and seats they can sit at the table to extend themselves. So that's my question. You were articulate. You're going to expand and expound. So you did your part. So Paul, get at him.
He didn't expand and expound. He just went to preaching. So I don't know where he just went there. I was going to start, I work really diligently, TravVell, not to get caught up with that side on the show, but it just is what it is. So it's April 29th today. And a great many young people are posting pictures of their caps and gowns because they're excited about the fact that their high school life is coming to an end. If you will, take us back to when you were graduating from Muskegon High School and walk us through some of the steps that you took to find your place, to find your passion in the professional world, going through the different educational steps.
That's a great question. I would definitely say it was not a one-hit wonder. It took me some trial and errors. Originally, I thought I was going to be an athletic trainer because growing up, playing basketball, I wanted to stick around basketball because that's all I knew, and I really enjoyed that. And I knew I didn't want to be a coach. I was like, no, that's too much for me. I don't got time to be dealing with all these students, these kids, they got a mouth on them, and I just don't got time for that. And I noticed with who else is on the bench is typically that athletic trainer. And typically the athletic trainer, they don't have to deal with people coming late to practice. They don't got to say nothing. You just come to the athletic trainer when you need help. And I knew I wanted to help people. So I sought out to be an athletic trainer. So I got to Aquinas, took those classes. The classes was difficult. I took international baccalaureate classes at Muskegon. I thought I was all set. I got to college. It was a whole different ball game. So I was like, I don't know. And then when I got to Albion College, they do a hands-on experience. So I got to shadow some of the trainers. And it took this one time where a student athlete, they had a huge ankle sore, like twisted ankle. It was huge and everything. It was like, T.O., tape it. I couldn't touch it. I just can't do stuff like that. Like if I see a broken bone or if I see a cut that's like not more than just this centimeter big, I can't touch it. So at that point, I was like, all right, it's going to be really tough for you to be an AT if you can't even help a swollen ankle. So I had to go back to the drawing board. And the next thing that I knew I was good at was my money. One thing I would say, my mom, no, I do not play about my money. When it comes to debit and credit, I know, like, don't play about me with my money. And I go all the way to the cent. So I end up going to Albion doing economics and management. And I thought growing up in the financial realm with just shadowing my mom, I thought that was what God wanted me to do. I'm like, you know what? I know what this is. I know what I got to do. And she was basically telling me about her experience serving as a teller. And, I went up to the bank, got to see like what tellers do. Cause I'm just curious. George just want to know. And it wasn't for me. I was like, this is not for me. Like, mm-mm. I love what I can do this in my sleep, but I need something exciting, engaging, something new that's going to happen every day that's going to keep me on my toes. So went back to the drawing board, and this is moving a little forward with my life journey. This was my senior year from Albion, about to graduate, and you get the question from everybody, what's next, or what's your job, or what you doing? And I didn't know. I didn't have any question or anything. So definitely for those high school students who don't know right now, it's okay not to know, because this is your story. This is you. You are the author of this book. I know a lot of people, they might know what school they're going to. A lot of them might have jobs right now, but that's their story. And this is not, you need to be the author of your story. So I talked to my mentors, and I landed a job as an admission counselor at Albion College. And that was probably the best thing that could have ever happened to me, because I love to talk, I love to travel, and Albion really helped me out. So that was a win-win. I got to go across the country and talk. So I would definitely say, to your question, to not go on a long rant, is to just seek out and understand this is your story. Don't try to do what people are doing next to you. Take your time and be patient, because as we can see, your life can be gone just like this. So I would definitely say, make sure that each day you're granted an opportunity. Take on that opportunity. Seek up. Don't just sit back and wait for things to come to you. We're in a society where we have to be that change. We can't keep talking about it. We have to be about it. So definitely make sure that you are telling your own story.
So it's okay then to get to a space, experience that space, but then decide that's not for me. I'm not going to deal with things that make me feel like I want to throw up. I'm going to shift to another space. But the interesting thing is, you looked within that space and chose experiences within the space to try to figure out finally where you wanted to be.
Mm-hmm.
That's fascinating. So when you think back over your life so far, who are some of the key people who sort of helped you find your path and to help you dream about your own dreams?
The reason why I'm like looking up, because it's a lot. It'd be a disservice if I said people names and didn't say other names. Going back to what I said originally, it takes a village. So depending on what frame or where I was at in my life, that those people I would say. So a prime example, leaving Muskegon to go to Albion, I would definitely say my mom was a person. Chauncey was a person. Mr. Lee was a person. Um, Mr. Laudermill was a person. Pastor Dern was a person. Those were people who got me from out of Muskegon to go to Albion. When I was at Albion, I would definitely say Mandy DeBille, who was the director of admissions. I would definitely say Marcus Gill, who serves as the admission counselor, but he was also assistant coach. I would say Michael Thomas, who currently serves as the coach over, I want to say, is it Grand Blanc or, yep, Grand Blanc. Definitely, he was definitely the person who helped me continue to grow and help me. And then like you look at me now, and I would definitely say my dean of students, who's also my line brother, Dr. Christopher Blakely, has been a huge monumental for me coming down to Florida, because something that I wanted to talk about tonight is to hit on that expanding your comfort zone. I think our community, we get so set and say like, I'm comfortable here. And not saying that's a bad thing, but understanding that we can spread our wings and still help our community from a distance. And I think he was one of the main reasons why I came down here from Florida, because one, he was like a Black director of a multicultural and leadership center. And that's one of my stepping stones into becoming a president. He was from Ohio. He played basketball. So we like connected very well. And since I've been down here, he has opened me up into many different opportunities. So when you ask the question, what are people, who are certain people to name, I would definitely say it's names that I didn't name. And I want to apologize to those people and let them people know that you have definitely played a part in my life, but it's just so hard for me because one of my top 5 strengths, according to Clifton Strengths, is I'm a woo. And what a woo is winning other over. And you love to talk to people. So that's one thing that I got from my dad, is that I have no strangers. Like I can walk outside right now and go talk to someone. And then next week we'll be getting lunch and we'll be talking about what's going on in the future. So I would definitely say a lot of people have played into the person that you see today.
So, and I'll give Tom and Brent a chance because I can't help myself. It's September 2021. The school year is about to begin. And we here at MCEC were able to prevail upon Principal Hoffman to allow us to have all of the freshmen gather into the William H. Austin Auditorium for a guest speaker. And the guest speaker is Travell Oaks. What message do you think would be a powerful message to bring to all those young men who are 13, 14, 15 years old?
Perfect. So I'm very interactive. So this is the interactive part for anybody who's watching and for y'all on the call. So on the count of 3, I want you all to repeat, I lead. Just I lead, 2 words. 1, 2, 3.
I
lead.
So my next question for you all is, when has the last time, before saying that, when was the last time you could say you used those 2 words in a sentence just like that?
I think when I played spades about 5 years ago, to be honest.
Okay. Anybody else?
I use the concept I am.
Okay.
I say I am prosperity all the time. So like when somebody asks me a question in my role, I always say that I don't say I don't know the answer. I say I am prosperity to myself. So
Okay.
then I find the solution. So
I like that.
Yeah. So I got you. I see.
Cool. So the reason why I had you all do that, and for the people who are watching on Facebook, the reason why I had you all do that is because when I got down here to FGCU, I'm very, like, I love assessment. So I love data, reading the room, and I did an environmental scan, talking to students, talking to staff, talking to faculty. And this isn't a bad thing. This isn't a knockoff to anyone. But when I was talking about leadership, the first thing that came to mind was, either I'm a director or I have this certain position that held high standards and whatnot. So if you ask me the definition of leadership, it's not a position, it's actually a process. So what I mean by that is that anyone can lead at any time, anywhere. So that's what I created down here at FGCU, and I'm going to continue to utilize this movement. So the movement is actually called the I Lead movement. And I was very intentional with calling it I Lead because I want people to practice saying that. One of my favorite quotes from Gandhi talks about Your beliefs become your thoughts become your words become your actions become your habits become your values, and your values become your destiny. So it all starts with that thought process. So if you're not waking up each and every day saying, I lead, you're not going to think that you're a leader until someone like me come around and tell you that you're a leader and shows that you're a leader. So the example that I utilize with my students here is that I utilize food. Everybody loves food, right? We got to eat food someplace there. So I say, okay, here's an example. I hit y'all up. I'm like, Brent, Tom, Paul, Chauncey, we about to go to Applebee's. You know, I like half off apps. You know, I like that. I got it. You know, got a budget that I got to stick to. Got to do it. So I'm like, you know what, Paul, me and him talking to him, he seemed like he got that money. I'm just gonna volunteer. He gonna pay for all our, you know, he gonna pay for our meal. Like that. Brent, you know, I'm gonna have you gonna pick us all up. You're gonna pick us up and we're gonna go to Applebee's. Chauncey, you got that organization to you. Please call Applebee's, let them know we're gonna get here at this time, you know, get the table. And Tom and I, we just gonna kick it in the back because that's what we do. We love to talk and just hang out. Boom. They like, what, T.O., what? I'm like, that's leadership. And they're like, what? I do that all the time. Like, I throw parties. Yeah, you're doing leadership. How's that leadership? It's communication, delegation, and coming together for a common goal. So I would definitely say the one thing that I will hit on with the group of young men is to explain to them what leadership is, and then end with a quote, because I love quotes. Something that I've learned from my dean of students is that John Lewis said it best when he said, each generation must do its part to help build what we call the beloved community, a nation, a world society at peace itself. So meaning you don't have to wait until you become that president of the university to change the world. You can change the world today.
I told you he was preaching, right? Because that was sermon point number 2, and he snuck it in on us. All right, Brent and Tom, I'm sure you have a question or two. I've got one, but I'll pause now because otherwise I just keep wanting to know more and more.
I got one. So in your time, I had the pleasure of working with you when you were in high school, and your brothers. I think very highly of you guys. But through all of your travels, Muskegon, Michigan, to Albion, Michigan, to Mount Pleasant, to Fort Myers, Florida. Those are some very, very contrasting places on planet Earth in terms of culture and food and the way business is done. And I'm sure that you've learned a lot about the world, about who you are, and maybe just some things to live by. What are, say, 3 things you've learned through all of your experiences and travels and interactions with other people that you think would be helpful to know?
That's good. I would definitely say the first thing is focus on self. And the reason why I say focus on self is because in order to create change or go out to do whatever you want to do, you have to have a complete understanding of who you are. So what is your authentic self? So, you know, sometimes we grow up and we say, oh, I know who I am. But a lot of times we don't set aside time to have that self-care or do that self-reflection on who you are, or even do a scope on your identities that you hold and how do they show up in our society, and understand what those mean. Because some of our identities that give us privilege, and some of our identities we are oppressed from. So I would definitely say the first thing that I would say is that we need to start off with self. The second thing is group. And the reason why I say group is because, going back to my original statement, is that it takes a village to train a child, is that you have to understand, in order to do what you need to do, it's not just going to be for you. God didn't put us on this earth just to be by ourselves. He created all of us for a reason. And we need to work together. And that's when that cross-cultural communication comes into play. So expanding your horizon. So one thing that I will say is that sometimes we get in the scope where, okay, I'm on the basketball team and all I'm hanging out is with basketball players. And then that's when we start to see groupthink. You don't necessarily go outside your standards. And I think college really helped me realize that when I got to school and I told one of my friends who were my close friends, her mom made something, and I said, "Oh, your mama put her foot in it." And she got mad. She's like, "My mom didn't put her foot in this. It's not nasty." I'm like, "No, wait. That ain't what I mean. That ain't what I mean." So I would definitely say that cross-cultural communication piece comes important for you to just, you know, get well versed and be able to understand people. And learn where they come from, because all of our behaviors, they come from somewhere. We learn these behaviors. We just don't come into this earth saying that. And then the last thing that I would say is going out to be a servant of change. Here at FGCU, we call them champions of change. And what it means is that the secret of change is to focus all your energy on not fighting the old, but on building the new. And what I mean by that is that sometimes we get stuck in society saying, oh, this is how things always happen, or oh my God, this happened for the past 10 years. And all that energy goes to that when we're not focusing on how can we be servants of change today to make our future better. So I would definitely say those would be the three things that I've learned during my time. And I know right now I consider myself a lifelong learner. So if you talk to me a year from now, it'd probably be three different things. So I would definitely say I always look for continuous growth.
I really like that. I really like your point of it starts for you. I mean, how many times have you heard people say it's difficult to be good for other people if you're no good for yourself?
Mm-hmm.
I think the other thing that you hear commonly is when particularly younger people say, well, I'm going to keep my circle tight. But in contrast, you say, open it up, experience other people. Don't be afraid. Don't surround yourself with people that think just like you. Don't be afraid to expand and see and try other things and then make a difference. I love it. I mean, those are three outstanding points to make.
All right, Tom, I know you got a zinger.
I don't. I'm just pulling so many bits and pieces of things we talk about all the time. And Travell, I don't know how many MCEC Fam shows you watched, but you've just pulled like 6 or 8 of them together in right. And you did the thing that Chauncey always does is you put it together in that little saying and that pitch phrase, and that it can just go out there. I greatly appreciate it. And that working for the future, I don't like. I swear, Paul, you might have a bug in your office that's connected to like-minded people. Either that or all these things and all these experiences that we've had and that we're bringing people in to share in this growth with. Like there has to be some truth there. That's the only other option. And I appreciate it. So I guess my question would be what's that one thing that you see well-meaning people do that you're like, we need to talk. Like, I know your intentions are good, but here's a pitfall. Here's an unintended consequence of what you're doing. What experience do you have with those? What thoughts do you have?
I would definitely say on the receiving end, before I go into my answer to that, is that for the work that I do currently, you have to, I would say the book that really helped me out to be in this field is called 4 Agreements. And I don't know if you all ever heard of the 4 Agreements, but the 4 Agreements basically talks about these 4 things: be impeccable with your word, don't take things personal, don't make any assumptions, and always do your best. So the part that I want to first say is don't take things personal. So when someone makes a mistake, my first thing to do is to make sure that I keep in mind that they're human. We talk about the South here in our center, we talk about the term Ubuntu. So I don't know if you all ever heard of Ubuntu, but it's a South African proverb that says humanity. It talks about humanity, and it really talks about I am because you are. So if someone is making a mistake, you're making a mistake too. So how can we come together to solve this? And one thing I would definitely say is just our blind spots. We all have them. And sometimes what's nice for us to understand each other is when we have that cross-cultural communication. Because I might have a blind spot that Brent can see, and it'll be doing him a disservice if he don't help me realize that blind spot. And same vice versa. If Chauncey has a blind spot that I see and I don't say anything, that's a disservice on me. So I would definitely say going into this work, if you see those blind spots, don't come across as attacking first. I think it comes into that conversation on how can you have a civil conversation, but also doing that mutual respect and understanding when you go in there, sometimes you have conversations where you have to disagree to agree. Like if we can come to that, that's okay. If you give me an opportunity to say what I need to say, and then I give you an opportunity to say what you need to say, but then after all that comes down to it, we're still not on the same page, that's okay. Like we don't have to agree everything, but it's okay to show that respect. So I would definitely say for those individuals who have those good intentions, remember the one thing that you need to remember is intent versus impact. So although I might have good intentions, how that person received it might have impacted them differently. And learning how to apologize. I think in the society, we have forgotten how to apologize. Sometimes we just say, oh, I'm sorry. Okay, you sorry for what? Oh, I don't know. I just, you told me you felt bad, so I just felt like I needed to say sorry. So making sure that we are able to give out authentic and genuine apologies when we do wrong, because at the end of the day, we're all learning. And once again, we're human. So we're wired to make mistakes.
So I've got two more questions, but I want to hold off. I know Travell's got a busy, but I've got to ask him. So I just want to pause for a minute and see if anybody else has a question.
I got one, Travell. Just hearing you talk, I'm just, like I said, I love you and I'm proud of you because I hear a lot of things that we talk about in this space. And when you talk about blind spots, I talk about blind spots and ego. There's two things that'll kill you. They will kill you. So, but I want to say this. Like I seen you perform as an athlete and like you like Draymond Green before Draymond Green. You know, I'm a Michigan State guy, so I like Draymond Green. So I'm giving you a lot of credit. But outside of that, you realize this, and this is the Rubik's Cube for our community. I see a lot of young guys that feel that sports is their life. Like if they don't make it as an athlete, they have this imposter syndrome where it's like, I'm scared to have success out of that. And it's like they trapped themselves in this time capsule. They're like, when I used to, and you said this at the beginning, I hustle. I worked hard for everything I got. The dude 7 foot tall and I'm 6'3". I got to check him. I'm checking the biggest guy on the floor. And seeing you in the space that you're in now, you still got the same tenacity. You still got the same confidence. And that's an issue that our community deals with, where we have these great athletes, but then they had the imposter syndrome where it's like, I can't be successful in nothing else. Like they 30 or they my age and they feel like the gym is the only space that they can have success. And what do we have to do? Because I mean, you somebody I worked with in the past, and like Linwood's son is graduating next week from college, and it's people graduating and figuring it out and moving on in their life, but we still have a large percentage that's in this imposter syndrome that's stuck. That's like the ego and the blind spot is really got them. And when did you realize like, okay, these sports I'm doing, this is a doorway for me to be who I am today? So expound on that for me, please.
Yes, I would definitely say it was hard because if you ask any athlete, they never want to really hang up the shoes. You know, you never want to put your hockey stick up. You don't want to turn in your tennis racket. Like that's a part of your identity. That's just like me cutting my left hand off. I'm left-handed. That's a part of who I am, and basketball has been a part of me. I think the biggest thing that I've learned is taking the lessons, what I've learned from the game of ball, and connecting it to other passion areas. And I think that's the biggest thing that we have to do as student athletes is to find out what other things are we passionate about and how can we bring the game with us. So a prime example, I told you all my dean of students, he was a collegiate basketball player as well at Mount Union. When we talk about things like programs, how to navigate crucial conversations with staff across campus, we always do basketball examples because that's how we wire. We connect on that level. So you can literally take the game with you. One of the biggest things that I would definitely say is it's a video. I'll send it to you all in the chat, but it's a video with Coach Carla from Duke. And she's talking to her women's basketball team. And she talks about the difference between hard work and competing. You can't make anyone compete. You can make someone work hard. She talks about it in her video where you can say, you know what, get on the line, do suicides in this month. That's people are doing hard work. She wants people to compete. And I take that mentality when I'm doing programming, when I'm doing trainings, when I'm collaborating across campus. I don't want to just work hard because everybody's working hard right now. I wouldn't argue with someone right now if they say, hey, I've been working hard, but I don't want to work hard. I want to compete. I want to get that NCAA championship. I want to get that pay raise. I want to get to being a president. Like right now, when I was in basketball, if you asked me what I wanted to get a ring. I wanted to win the NCAA. But now if you ask me, I want to be the president. So I hung that up and I take the lessons that I learned with, working out in the summer. Okay, this summer, what I got to do is expound on, getting assessment together. What are areas that who are current presidents that I can talk to right now and see what would they be doing in my shoes? So do I need to go to a conference? That's going to practice. Do I need to, buy a book? That's buying shoes when I would buy shoes for a basketball game. So figuring out how can those things that I've learned and connect it to other passion areas that I have.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I'm gonna take this later and I'm gonna cut it up into segments and I'm gonna repackage it and sell it as school improvement video for the state of Michigan. But I'm gonna give you a loaded question within a scenario.
Okay.
Because I feel like it's on my heart to ask it. So let's assume for a moment that tomorrow, for whatever reason, the MCEC staff is given emergency powers in the city of Muskegon to bring somebody in to be an emergency director of the city. And we think, because we're still ruminating and thinking upon the words you've shared with us, we need to get FamTravell Oaks back to Muskegon to be this emergency director of Muskegon. What 2 or 3 areas would you take your understanding and your knowledge and your abilities and focus on for improvement of the city of Muskegon? And you're the emergency director. Okay. You're the president of Muskegon.
Okay, I like that ring to it. I might actually come back. The first thing that I would do is assessment. And a lot of people say, oh my God, assessment. What does he really mean by that? I think I would do an environmental scan because, right, to be honest, when I left Muskegon, I actually left Muskegon. When I come back to Muskegon, I'm probably there for a week top. So a lot of things have changed in Muskegon since I've been there to now. So I think it would be important before I make any moves, any decisions, that I would need to do an environmental scan, not just with the community to see where they're at, but the staff that I'll be working with, because that's going to be my source of knowledge. A lot of you all on this call has been in the weeds of talking to students and what's going on, some of the areas. I will meet with staff individually and then I will come as a group to see what are some common trends and share with you all based off of conversations that I have with the staff, based off me engaging with the community. These are some of the common trends that I have found, and based off of the common trends, that's where I would lead in direction. So one of the directions could be, having more representation. Okay, how do we do that? Okay, let's start looking at the hiring practices first. Are they inclusive? Is it equitable? What are our practices looking like? Maybe one of the things may be, enhancing the quality of the education that they're getting. Okay, what set curriculum are we using? Are there other set curriculums that we could be utilizing that other, districts or other cities are using that maybe we can mimic and put our own twist to it? I hate copying things. A lot of times we copy and paste, and we have to understand that everybody is unique. So I always say, yes, we can borrow some stuff, but we're going to put the MCEC twist on it because we know our students and we know where they need to get to. So I know you said this was a long question. I don't know if you were looking for a long response, but it's really hard for me to say what I would do without taking that first step on doing an environmental scan to see where my staff is at and where the community is at, and then set forth going from there. Okay, these are the directives, and plan on people's strengths. I think that's a big thing. Understanding that although I would be the director or the president, I wouldn't be doing this alone. Going back to my village, I will never leave that concept. I would get to know my staff and see, okay, what are you good at? Okay, so you're good at collecting data too. You know what? I need you to work on this assignment. I want you to take lead. Because at the end of the day, I want my staff to do what I do and better. So I want to empower them to feel like if I have to go somewhere on vacation or I need time for self-care, the party isn't paused. We're still doing what we need to do. Because the good thing with leadership and transition is that if I were to up and leave FGCU right now, the things that I am doing, anybody should be able to pick it up and make it better with their own twist right now. And that's what I would do. I would empower my staff members that I would do. I would do my best to transfer the community to, help it.
I appreciate the thoughtfulness of your answer, and I just don't really know or understand why FGCU hasn't made you president already. Is there someone's Twitter I can hop on and hack? I mean, can I go on InstaSnap or Chatagram and let them know what I think? Because I'm here to say, Travell, your voice and the things you're bringing are so refreshing, because we've been in a pandemic, but lots of communities have been in a pandemic for much longer than COVID-19. And I value the fact that you're saying we need to look around, we need to understand who the stakeholders are, we need to support people, because it really sounds like recreating the neighborhood, right? Whether that neighborhood is a professional one or a personal one, we've got to bring our contexts back, those contexts that have for so many years served so many so well. So I appreciate you, Travell, and I know that you've got a busy day ahead of you. And our next, so what words or what things would you share that we haven't asked? Maybe there's a question we haven't asked or something on your heart that you wanted to share. This is your chance, because we obviously can't think of every question possible that we'd want to ask.
I would say first and foremost, again, thank you all for allowing me to be in this presence. This has definitely been nice. Sometimes, you get caught up in work. And when this came across, I'm like, for my city, yes, that's hands down. I would always do stuff. So I want to formally tell you all, if you ever need me to do a speaking engagement, if you need your staff or your students, your male students, to do a leadership development training, like I do those. If you want to do an interactive workshop, I do those. Right now, I'm in the process of working with a company with building curriculum for them for a multicultural and leadership development curriculum for a year round. I had the privilege to do a student athlete leadership institute here at Florida Gulf Coast University. So if you all need any assistance, I think the biggest thing is just tapping on your alumni, because they'll come back. I think with me, sometimes you don't know what you don't know. So you all probably didn't know that you can tap on me anytime. So Chauncey has my cell phone number. Now that you all know, the ball is in your hands. So if you ever need me for anything, feel free to reach out to me. Right now, what I'm doing is one of my biggest projects that I actually borrowed from Chauncey, is that I'm doing a program, an initiative. It's called Men About Change. And it's a new initiative on campus where we're talking about the positive, authentic masculinity. So I'm excited for that, because that'll be a new initiative rolling out this fall for FGCU. And this will be the first time they ever did something like this. So I'm excited for that. And I'm grateful that you all have allowed me to utilize this platform to tell my story. Hopefully this story hits individuals who might need, that mentor. I'm interested in serving as a mentor if anyone needs anything. I guess my biggest thing that I would leave off on is another quote that really helps me get through the day. It states, good, better, best, never let it rest until your good is your better and your better is your best. So meaning never get complacent, always know it's room to grow, and always know that you have someone there. So those would be the things that I would say.
Well, I'm just going to say this, just in line with what you've said, every saint we've reached out to has been willing to come back to the virtual chapel and come up front and share their testimony. And we appreciate you. We appreciate your heart for the city. We appreciate you willing to extend yourself to us, because you know how Chauncey is. He's going to call you back, and he's going to have about 6 things he's going to want you to do.
Listen, I'm here. I'll be in town in May, because my brother graduates. So I took 2 weeks off. So I'll be in Muskegon in 2 weeks. So hopefully I'll be able to see some of you all as I come to it. If you all are open, come to Tyree's open house, and I'm very, very proud of him. So shout out to my mom, Tasha Oaks. Shout out to Tyree.
Hunting me down already.
Yes, hunt me down if y'all need me, because I will be in the area.
We appreciate you, Travell. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Now we're going to transition into the food portion of our show. You can feel free to stay. You can feel free to go. That's complete. I know you have a busy schedule, but it's sort of we end it with food from local sources, because of course, when you get to be our ages, it's one of those things you look forward to.
Well, thank you all. I'm going to head out. I got an assessment committee that I'm actually the chair of, so I got to get on that to help out with FGCU. So I appreciate it again. Like I said, call me anytime, text me anytime. I'm here to help.
Thank you, Travell.
All right.
Thanks, Travell.
Hey, I I can't take credit for all of him, but I'm telling you this: we used to be together. And used to be about like 5 of them. All of them graduated from college. And he used to be working out, and all he used to be asking me was questions about programs I was doing. That's all he used to do. And I'm looking at him now. I'm just so proud of him. And like, I went to his brother's signing, and I tried to stay in the background. Like, I tried to stay background where nobody could see me. So I went. I came back here. She followed me at 3 o'clock and said, "My son got to get a picture with you," because I had all 3 of them. But I had Travell when he was in college, and hearing that, because my whole point of moving back was to produce guys like that, guys and girls like that. And when the way he was talking let me know he got it. And that's what we need. Well, we are in spaces to open doors for people that are better than us to do our jobs. And we can't get offended when they come. We got to be like, here you go. Here's your seat. I got it ready for you. You can have it.
I'm just thinking this, guys, that, part of my future down the way somewhere might include the ministry or something of that nature. And I'm just thinking I'm going to have to save this video to a portable hard drive. And if and when I ever have the opportunity to speak on discipleship and stewardship, I'm going to run that video. Because if that isn't, if Travell does not epitomize what's great about human context and human neighborhoods, or I think he used the word village.
Yes, he did.
Then I don't know what is, because I'm in awe. And I knew he was a great young man, but he's going to go places, and I'm glad that he's kept all of us here back in the 231 in his heart, because his story, that's gold. That's solid gold right there. And it's just beginning. It's just beginning.
Yeah. And his father was a great speaker in itself, and his dad's testimony on how he took something that was a crisis and learned Pray Today. That was his dad's organization, and how he's still living through everybody right now, and just how his father was willing to share his family with the community, and his story was great. So, man, I mean, he done made us, like, how you be at church and say, when the sermon done, who cooking? This is the cooking part. Now it's like it nourished our spirit and our soul. Travel did, and he.
All right, Brent.
Man, I'm ready for the food now, because that brother, I'm proud of him, man. Like I said, I love him. I enjoy every bit of everything he said. So,
I tell you what, it's so exciting to see alumni, and I think that to me is one of the coolest parts of the show, is that all of us as educators, we see them when they're young, and then to see them when they're accomplished is just, it's really cool. I mean, it is really, really good, and by far the best part of the week. So I've got, let's dip into it's not going to be better than that, boys. I'm sorry, but let's dip into the food. Okay. We've got, we expanded upon our horizons once again. I feel like we've done a pretty good job of getting a fair sample of all sorts of cuisines, cooked and raw. Okay. Today, I keep bringing that up because that's funny. So today we went down Apple Avenue to an establishment that I frequent quite often, to the China Star restaurant. Okay. It's all the way down kind of by Sheridan, next to the Little Caesars down in that direction. And this is by far one of my favorite places to get Chinese food. And here's why. Okay. I got the Shanghai garlic chicken. It smells amazing. Okay. I enjoy the size. The size of the portions are ridiculous. And so one large meal feeds my wife and I. Okay. The other thing is the freshness and the quality of the ingredients. That is something that I really appreciate, aside from the fact that it is absolutely delicious. And so, sorry. PK, what'd you get?
Well, when you brought the food in, because you very kindly every week go and get the food and then bring it back. And I really appreciate that, Brent, as an aside. Would that make you a Foober?
Big Red Eats.
Oh, okay. I don't know if it'd be that or if you'd be a Foober. Anyway, At first I thought that you were trying to be funny, and you put a brick in a box and put it in the bag. So I'd open it, and the joke would be on me, and there'd be a brick in my box in my bag. But the reality was, it was the actual food. It was so heavy. I'm thinking to myself, I got Szechuan chicken. What could possibly be in this box? It's heavy as a brick. Well, it was because they give just an absolute abundance of food. And you get the rice, of course, and it's really good. And to Brent's point of the freshness, when you get broccoli from some places, you take the broccoli out and it looks like someone not only put it in the microwave, but then they put it in a bag and then stomped on it. In this case, they're full florets. They're al dente, which I prefer. And that's not all. I mean, there's the green pepper, there's the snow peas, and even the peanuts. It's really well done. My only caveat would be, next time I'm gonna ask them to bump the heat up. Or I'll add what I add to everything else, Frank's Red Hot. but it's really good. And I am gonna say this, Sugan, I don't know what Sugan got, but it looked a little like Mongolian beef that I've had in other places. And it looked really good. So every meal that I saw, as we were trying to figure out whose was whose, looked really appetizing. Chauncey, what'd you get?
Tried it for the first time, shrimp chow mein, and it was full of vegetables, snap peas, shrimp, scallions, the white rice, onions. I mean, all the vegetables, watercress. I mean, just feel like eating a garden. You know, that's what it felt like, eating a garden of fresh food. Didn't feel guilty about it, like you said. The tray was full, and for the money to have fresh food made hot like that, ready to serve. And like you said, you might need to bump the spice, but then somebody that has pre-existing conditions like high cholesterol or diabetes, or a diet that doesn't need a lot of seasoning, with the vegetables and the way they mix the sauces, someone can really get a healthy meal from a fast food place. That's what I looked at.
Well, and probably, if we were all being very reasonable, there are about 3 meals in this box.
Yes, it is. Because this is my dinner. I done had my lunch portion. This is my dinner tonight. I know it already.
Because it comes with rice too. I mean, what more can you ask for? So, I mean, Brent, I got to hear it. What about China Star?
That is the it ain't bad.
And I know Tom dipped out because he had a meeting, but he also had very high marks for China Star. Now, before we depart, before Chauncey takes us away and maybe talks a little SEL with us because Tom isn't here to do it, I want to remind everyone that next week we have Professor Kimberly Ann Harris, who will be coming on the show. She is a Muskegon Big Red who now is a professor of philosophy. So I want to encourage everyone to tune in. Also, I know that this is sort of a shameless pitch, but if you're watching in the future, please share the broadcast. Please share the live video. And I say that only to say this. There are people who have meant to watch the show, but they weren't sometimes as able to navigate Facebook to find it as other people. The last thing I have to say before we leave is, you'll notice I got some chicken fried rice today, because I surely couldn't go home and hear Maddie fussing because she didn't get any Chinese food, because she watches the show and then lambastes me when I don't look out for her. So Maddie, the chicken fried rice is in the bag and will be coming home. So no reason to lambaste me when I hit the door. So final words, fellas?
I'm gonna do Tom's part with the social emotional learning. So yesterday I attended a book breakdown by the author Jason Wilson out of Detroit, Cry Like a Man, where he's from the Cave, Abdullah in Detroit. And the book is amazing. The foreword is written by Eshawn Burgundy, great Christian rapper that I love. So it made me read the book in a day when I read it last year. Norm Young brought it over. But he said this, and I was thinking about a true success lesson we have. Talks about compassion for others. And he said that it took him and his wife a long time to have kids. They tried 5 times and they couldn't have one. And he said he did this, and I do the same thing. And I was thinking like, wow, he has a picture of his wife when the trauma struck, so he could have a perspective when she asked for some type of help. right? And my wife, her father passed when she was an adolescent, when she was a kid. And the age was similar, by like 10. And I got a picture of her when she was a little kid, my wife. So what I do is, when I'm at home and she asks me to do stuff, I look at this picture. And he did that yesterday. And I was like, I do the same thing, because I don't want to look at her and take her out of context. Because if I'm the man in her life that she asking for help, I need to see her as if the man that's supposed to taking care of her, he had to leave because something happened to him, to his health. So I got the perspective what the guy talking about. But that's for all of us. We're educators. We're with our students. So when our students ask for help, Mr. Williams, I need this, or can you help me get a ride, or I need help getting this application done, or I need help with this English, or PK, or Brent, we got to put on the lens. Let me put my buffs on. We got to put on the lenses to be able to see our kids from their own perspective. That's what I get. That's what I get from the True Success lesson, because the True Success lesson this week was this, but also the book reading I went to yesterday when we had the conference of Cry Like a Man. It really opened my eyes to like, okay, I guess I was doing something right, having a picture of my wife when she was a kid. And when she asked me something at home, I'd be like, whatever you want. She'd be like, oh, that's just so sarcastic. But it works because it's changing my mindset to make sure I'm not looking at it as something that I'm supposed to be nonchalant about. So having a perspective to see the lenses of somebody else, to be able to respect and love them in the way so they know that they can hear you. You can hear them, and they can hear you. How can you help them? So that's the true success. I hope I did like Tom, because I know he had to step in for me last week and try to say the outro.
So for example, if your wife were to make you banana pudding, you would pull out that picture and be thankful and grateful, and you wouldn't make any more comments.
I wouldn't eat my wife banana pudding. I think she know that. She's better. She's a better asset in human resources. Helping me.
Stop, Nancy.
She knows.
You're gonna get yourself in the same hot water that Brent got.
I'm at work though. I'm at work, so
he's doing it. Hey, Brent, you see that he's doing it. He's walking out on that thin ice.
Abort mission. Abort. Abort. Danger. Danger.
Yeah, I love her. I love her.
All right. Well, take us home, Chauncey.
I know we was gonna do something crazy to end it off. We always do. So
Oh, my wife's in my phone too. It ain't just you.
You might need to get a picture of your wife when she was a kid too, because you might get in trouble because you laughing with me.
But you didn't say anything about banana pudding, Brent. You're fine.
My name is Brent White, and I do not endorse this message. These are not the views.
Here we go.
Yana, you said it.
Well, that's the end of our live hour. Thanks for tuning in to the MCEC Fam Show, the place where the center of your child's education is magnified in the collaborating community.
See y'all later. Have a great weekend and tune in next week.
Yep.